If the internet stopped working right now, the global economy would freeze in a matter of seconds. Stock markets would halt, logistics networks would blind out, and basic communication would fail. We imagine our data living in a weightless cloud, safe from the physical world. In reality, our digital lives travel as pulses of light down tiny glass threads, resting in the mud at the bottom of the ocean. Satellites cannot handle the sheer volume of global traffic. Over 95% of all international communications travel through physical lines laid directly across the seabed. These cables support $10 trillion in financial transactions every single day. They physically link the world's data centers and carry the massive bandwidth required to train and run global artificial intelligence systems. Because modern civilization is anchored to this physical hardware, the ocean floor has quietly become a primary geopolitical target. This map shows the physical nervous system of the global economy. There are over 500 active submarine cables crisscrossing the oceans, stretching roughly 1.3 million kilometers. Despite carrying the weight of international trade, these lines are astonishingly delicate. In the deep ocean, where they lack heavy steel armoring, a fiber-optic cable is often no thicker than a standard garden hose. They sit fully exposed to everyday maritime hazards. Trawling commercial fishing nets and dragging ship anchors accidentally snag and sever over 100 cables every year. Fixing a severed line requires locating the break, hauling the cable up from miles below, and splicing the glass strands in sterile shipboard labs. There are only about 60 of these specialized vessels worldwide, and reaching a remote break can take weeks. This globe-spanning network was engineered for data efficiency and cost, leaving the world's most critical infrastructure largely undefended. Data traffic does not flow evenly across the ocean floor. Geography forces dozens of separate cable systems to converge into narrow, highly congested maritime corridors. The Red Sea is a massive data funnel, gathering primary traffic between Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. But these corridors are uniquely vulnerable. In 2024, a dragging anchor severed 3 major cables, instantly disrupting 25% of internet traffic between Europe and Asia. The incident involving the Rubimar highlights how localized accidents, or intentional strikes on shipping, can ripple across entire continents. Most anchoring incidents arise from negligence, but in a narrow waterway, the effect is the same as a coordinated strike. This density makes chokepoints highly attractive for deliberate sabotage. Secretive military units, like Russia's Gugi, deploy specialized submarines to sever communication lines. Modern adversaries realize they can cripple an enemy's economy without firing a shot. They only need to exploit the physical geography of the seabed. The conflict extends well beyond physical sabotage. Superpowers are now using regulation to treat the international seabed as sovereign strategic territory. Over the last few years, the United States Federal Communications Commission has utilized strict licensing orders to systematically exclude Chinese cable builders from any networks connecting to American soil, citing risks of espionage and data interception. By placing entities like HMN Tech on restricted lists, the U.S. government is actively attempting to block Beijing's ambitions to build a dominant digital Silk Road. This chart shows the shifting ownership of the ocean floor. As state-backed builders face blockades, Silicon Valley giants like Meta and Google are spending billions to build massive, privately owned cable networks to secure the bandwidth necessary for their artificial intelligence operations. The internet is fracturing. It is transforming into a walled physical garden, divided by geopolitical blockades and corporate monopolies. India provides a clear look at what happens when a digital superpower is caught in the crossfire of this physical cable war. 60% of India's internet traffic flows westward, straight through the volatile Red Sea and Strait of Hormuz. Out of 17 international cables connecting the country, 15 surface on a highly concentrated stretch of coastline near Mumbai. If those western routes are severed, traffic must instantly detour east. This mass rerouting causes severe data latency, network congestion, and throttles the country's financial systems. For an emerging digital economy, relying on a single geographic corridor is a critical national security vulnerability. To physically outmaneuver these Western choke points, telecom operators are scrambling to build bypass routes eastward, laying massive new cables across the Bay of Bengal to connect directly to Singapore and Australia. The government is also reviewing proposals to fund indigenous cable repair vessels. By building a domestic fleet, they ensure they will not be paralyzed waiting for foreign-owned ships if lines go down during a regional crisis. India's struggle to build redundancy exposes a global reality. Digital infrastructure has become physical, defendable territory. Our digital civilization rests on glass threads at the bottom of the sea. Whichever power dominates the dark floor of the ocean will dictate the economic and strategic future of the 21st century.